Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Line Change, the NHL betting podcast from the Action Network. My name is Michael Leboff. Joining me, as always, is my co-host Nick Martin, and of course, a reminder that this show, every Line Change episode of the season, is sponsored by BetMGM. That's where we'll look at some odds. Nick, let's talk about these upcoming game fours and fives. We will start on Jesus Christ. What day is it? Tuesday. Okay.
Wednesday, May 10th.
Wednesday. We will start on Wednesday with the first elimination game of the round. The Maple Leafs are minus 125 with their backs against the wall. In Florida, Panthers plus 105, the over under 6.5. We talked a little bit about this game because there was a 2-day break when we recorded on Sunday night. And you were, along with basically everybody, a little stunned at the effort from the Leafs and how that game played out, how the series obviously has landed. Um, any new thoughts here
Yeah,
on?
so I think my thoughts here. So first thing I'll say is, we talked about in the last episode. I like the Panthers in this game. I just think it's going to be a really hard spot for the Leafs to turn the tides. It feels like at this point they're just playing not to lose. I think they're so tight. It's a lot. It's very hard for them to play free, to be very creative. I think it's just a lot of you're just trying to get through the game and say you gave it all you got, but feels like nothing they're doing is them expecting to win. And then the one interesting note, we talked about it. I really think they should have tried Matthews with Nylander. I thought that made a lot of sense. They tried. It's not like this is something crazy. This season they tried it quite a bit and found pretty good results at times during the year. So I would have tried shaking that up. It doesn't look like they're going to. It looks like they're going to stick with Matthews with Marner, Nylander with Tavares. So I think that's kind of the one note bit of info that we didn't have for the last ep. And we'll see. Maybe they go away from that pretty quickly into the game if things go bad. And either way, like Marner and Matthews should be able to perform together. But I still just think at this point, with what we've seen, you could probably have made that change. But yeah,
Yeah,
it feels like such a tough spot for the Leafs to me.
Joseph Woll gets the start for Toronto. They will, like you said, they didn't really. No, it's Yarncrook with Matthews and Marner, Kerfoot with Nylander and Tavares. That line has not really looked great when the three of those guys are together. And then O'Reilly centering the third line. I thought there was a chance maybe you'd see them go to that O'Reilly, Tavares, Nylander line, and who knows, maybe they do throughout the game. Mitch Marner is mad. He's very upset. He showed a lot of passion today in their post practice scrum where he said that they don't even read social media or listen to the media at all. So you think that they're going to be playing tight, and Mitch Marner does not. Uh, like we said, I think if you like Toronto in this game, you should just play them to win the series or Stanley Cup, whatever. But I don't see any betting value here at all on either side. So I'll stay away. You'll be on the Panthers, and we'll move on. Oilers and Knights. Edmonton minus 190 at home here, coming off of a drubbing. I was listening to this coming home from softball, and so I got to listen to our man Jack. Michael's out there in your neck of the woods, Alberta. Uh, he was so mad at the Edmonton Oilers, and he had every right to be from the sounds of it and from what I've saw of the game. So they're going to host Vegas, who comes in plus 160 up 2-1 in the series, and the total set at 7. I think it's a little bit of both things where the betting market has overrated Edmonton a little bit, and they were good. I mean, and they are good. They've got perhaps the two best players in the world right now on their team, and they were 18-2-1 since getting Ekholm. They went into the playoffs on a 9-game winning streak. They looked great in a 4-2 win over Los Angeles. Sure, they had some moments here and there, but they were buoyed by a power play that went 57%. and the power play's been there for them against Vegas so far, but they didn't get any power plays in game 3, and the Knights were just better than them 5-on-5. The Oilers had a ton of defensive breakdowns. The Darnell Nurse looked terrible. Cody Ceci looked terrible. I mean, even Evan Bouchard I thought was pretty bad. Um, so it was like a mix of that we've overrated Edmonton a tad and probably underrated Vegas with Mark Stone a little bit. Um, I don't know how you can lay minus 190 with Edmonton, given their goaltending situation as well. I know Aiden Hill's going for Vegas, but I don't really see much of a difference between Hill and Brossois at all, especially that now that Hill's shaken the rust off and he did it impressively. So it would be Vegas or nothing for me, and I don't hate it at plus 160.
Yeah, I think you're definitely counting on, the Oilers bouncing back, but it doesn't seem like they're going to have that edge at 5-on-5 you want. Maybe if you're backing a team at this number. With that said,
Nor
I
the
feel like on a lot
goaltending.
of, yeah, that's a fair point too. I'd probably just look towards some Edmonton props. It looks like a spot where they're really going to have a big offensive night, and maybe you could consider a team total too. Um, and the one thing I do feel like I know we're trained to look so much at numbers, and like that's ultimately what does matter. I feel like there has been a lot of these playoff spots this year where maybe I passed on the team that I just thought was going to win because I didn't think I was getting the number. I wonder if this could be another one of those, but this is getting into the extremes when you're talking about backing a team that's kind of getting
Yeah,
outplayed
they're not playing
5-5.
Seattle, right? Like
Yeah.
they're like, and that's not to disrespect Seattle. I'm just saying like this is the team that won their division.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think Vegas has a legitimately better decor that'll probably piss off some Oilers fans, but I feel like if you look at it to a man right now, that's probably fair to say. The Oilers have the ways to manage that and cover that, and they're going to end up with more power plays than they got last game. There's probably going to be somewhat of a balance between the two. But the one note that is interesting, and I think does hold a lot of relevance in a lot of different betting areas, is like so up to game 5, typically we see more power plays, and then game 6 and 7 when there's none. So that's one thing to note for the Oilers as the or series goes on. We'll be interested to see how it looks in game 4. It does feel like these ones where that seeps into the ref's mind what team probably got seemingly more of the breaks. It's
not in
you
the
hate to
Islanders
say it, but it
series.
almost feels like it matters. I don't know. It
The
felt like the
Islanders
Oilers could have
the
had a few
Islanders
more,
series
but
was the outlier on that one. Um,
yeah. So,
but no, I
anyways,
think with Edmonton, like I'm sure that it's a thing because considering the town, the country that town is in, the player that plays in that town in that country, uh, I don't. It's almost unavoidable, but yeah.
yeah. And the other
I wish
note,
there was a way to bet like will there be a penalty in the first 90 seconds?
I just wish you could bet on the next penalty. It would be outrageous. I know the odds
Yeah.
makers would probably figure it out because they'd have their own algorithm too, but it would be fun. And there's certain situations where you can just, it's not
Yeah.
coming from one team. Like the game management's out of hand. And then I think the last interesting betting note is, do the Oilers shake up the lines? What do they do? There's some people thinking that putting Draisaitl and McDavid apart makes sense, or at least trying to balance them somewhat. And also, I wouldn't go on anything Zach Hyman related. I don't think. I'm a little scared of that. Maybe he's due to break out, but I get the feeling that he was fairly hurt on that hit, and that they're doing as all teams do in the playoffs and not trying to fully let on how bad it is.
Let's flip it to Thursday. Devils and Canes. This one shifts back to North Carolina. The Hurricanes minus 120 in game 5. Devils even money on the road, 5.5 total. Carolina comes to New Jersey and gets a split, so they're up 3-1 with a on the back of a really strong second period, aided by some poor goaltending from the Devils again. Uh, and now Carolina has a chance to close out New Jersey in 5 on Thursday night. I don't see anything here from a betting standpoint at all. Like I think you can continue maybe to play into Hughes, Meyer, and even Dawson Mercer that line. Like they seem to be clicking, but uh, I would be closer to betting Carolina. Like I liked Carolina game 1 minus 115, and this is just 5 cents off that. So we'll see if the Devils money shows up like it has been. but pass. I would lean towards Carolina. Timo Meyer props maybe, but nothing really exciting for me.
Yeah, I agree. I would lean Carolina here, having had a horrible feel for this series. I really thought game 4 was going to be one that was close because it just felt like, the Devils found their game in game 3, but we knew Carolina wasn't going to show up and just give up that many easy goals. I thought there was a lot of arguments why this should have been a rare competitive game in this series and in this entire round, which has kind of gotten a little painful, to be honest, when you're almost surprised that a game is close after 2 periods.
There's been one
Interestingly
series
enough,
that's had
and this series is
it's
3-0.
3-0. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, the Leafs Panthers series we're
Yeah.
talking about. So yeah, it's been a little painful. I'd like to think it's going to get better. And yeah, I think it feels like the Canes are nothing for me in this spot.
Yeah, anecdotally, it does feel like this is kind of the rhythm of the NHL playoffs too. Like the first round's always just a fucking smorgasbord, and then uh everyone kind of gets a little fatigued in the second round as games kind of get weird, and then we get back at it for the conference final. Dallas is, speaking of blowouts, blowing out Seattle as we talk right now. It was 4-1 late in the second. Dallas raced out to a 4-0 lead. Good bounce back performance. We'll see where this, if this number is where Seattle's been, and that's where you'd assume it'll be. In Dallas, I'll probably be on the Kraken again and just continue to back them as big underdogs. Hey, they might lose 2 in a row here and bow out of the playoffs in honorable fashion, but like they just continue to pay off at those numbers. And Dallas, it's funny that these games have all been blowouts because when you think about Dallas, you're like, this is a team that wins. They're experts at winning kind of hard fought tight games, and that just hasn't really been the case for them for either of these teams in the series. So yeah, it's been strange, but and not as entertaining. So who knows? But uh yeah, I'd lean towards Seattle here. So for me, it'd be a pass on Toronto, Florida. I'd play Vegas at plus 160, pass Devils, Carolina, and I would play Seattle if it's where we think it will be, which it was, that plus like 165, 70 range on the road.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good number for the Kraken. I could see some of this, people really thinking Dallas stabilized. I thought that this game was more competitive than the scoreline for a bit there. I mean, the
Yeah.
Stars had more of the shots, but I thought the Kraken were doing some things well. And it was just one of these blowouts that became the worst possible scenario. There was a huge swing on the 3-0 goal was, I thought, probably goal interference, but they're always pretty subjective. And then you get that stupid penalty challenge call, and the Stars scored on that. But I don't think the disparity between them has been that massive at 5-on-5 again. So I agree. Chances are it's going to be a decent spot to try and back the Kraken. I could see money really pouring in on Dallas and people thinking it's over.
Back on the Kraken. All right. That will do it for this episode of Line. Let me set that again. Okay, that does it for this episode of Line Change. We will be back again on Thursday night to preview whatever games are remaining. There could only be two. Two series still going by the next time we talk, but we'll see. For Nick Martin, I'm Michael Liebach. Best of luck with all your bets, and thank you once again to our sponsors, BetMGM.